December 16th, 1944. Imagine standing in the chill of a dark Ardennes forest at 4:30 a.m., the air heavy and silent. Then, without warning, over 400,000 German soldiers surge through the trees, moving like shadows across the snow. No alarms sound. American radar picks up nothing. Intelligence reports are blind. By the time the sun rises, entire American units have been encircled, isolated, wiped from the map. And yet, the Germans are outnumbered, outgunned, their fuel dwindling, ammunition scarce. To any observer, the war should have been lost, but somehow they achieved the impossible. Dear friends, if this video has reached you, it's not by chance. Right now, click the subscribe button and the notification bell. Write a number from 1 to 5 in the comments. I will personally respond to the first 50 comments, and make sure to watch the video until the end. What did American commanders discover in the aftermath that sent chills down their spines? It wasn't fanaticism. It wasn't cruelty. It was something far more terrifying: professional efficiency. One German soldier could outmatch an American soldier in skill and effectiveness. Even during the last desperate days in Berlin, surrounded and doomed, German troops killed over 81,000 Soviet soldiers and destroyed nearly 2,000 tanks in just 2 weeks. Veterans of World War II, Korea, and Vietnam all echoed the same conclusion. Germans were the toughest adversaries they ever faced. Why? What made the bloodshed so severe in battles that should have been straightforward victories? And why, after the war, did the US military adopt German combat techniques as its own? The answer lies in the making of a soldier, and most people misunderstand this completely. Before we go deeper, let me ask you, where are you watching from right now? Last video, viewers tuned in from 50 countries. Let's see if we can beat that record. And if you want the unvarnished history, hit subscribe. Now, back to the Germans. When did they begin their preparation for war? If you thought enlistment, you'd be wrong. Their training began at age 10. In the mid-1930s, German boys joined the Hitler Youth not merely as instruments of propaganda, but as seeds for future soldiers. By 1937, rifle schools had been established, and by 1938, 1.5 million boys had been trained in marksmanship. By 1939, the German High Command was personally supervising their field exercises. Compare this to an American soldier in 1944, 19 years old, 3 to 4 months of total training basic drills, specialized instruction, then deployment. But it wasn't just the duration, it was the mindset that made the difference. American training emphasized one principle: learn your role, obey your orders, execute commands from your sergeant or officer. German training asked a far more lethal question: what do you do when no orders arrive? Picture the contrast on the battlefield. An American infantry squad moves through a French village. Suddenly, a machine gun opens fire from a stone building 50 yards ahead. The squad hits the dirt behind a low wall. The sergeant's heart hammers. 8 men pinned down. What does he do? He radios for guidance. Lieutenant, machine gun nest, 2nd floor window. Orders? 200 yards back, the lieutenant cannot see the building, cannot gauge the danger. He radios the captain. The captain consults his map, calculates fields of fire, calls in artillery support. 15 minutes pass from the first burst of machine gun fire before any response comes. Now, a German squad faces the same scenario. Machine gun fire erupts from a stone building. The squad drops for cover, but the German sergeant does not reach for a radio. His eyes sweep the structure. Ground floor, 2nd floor. Then he spots it. A basement window, half hidden, dark, undefended. He catches the gaze of his 2 best men. No words, just hand signals. You two, around the left side. Basement window. I'll suppress. In seconds, they move. The sergeant opens fire on the upper floor, drawing attention, while the two soldiers flank the basement window. One yanks a stick grenade, counts, tosses it through the window. Explosion muffled. Silence follows. 3 minutes have passed. 12 minutes. That is the difference between waiting for permission and taking initiative, between blind obedience and trusted judgment. And this gap wasn't a one-time miracle. It repeated in every firefight, every ambush, every unforeseen encounter. Minutes stacked into deaths. American soldiers waited for orders, while Germans maneuvered, flanked, struck. The pattern became painfully clear in every after-action report. Imagine standing on a battlefield where a smaller force, outnumbered and outgunned, moves with uncanny precision. German units in World War II often faced larger American forces, yet they held their ground, adapted faster, and struck with deadly efficiency. At first, the Americans didn't understand why. Was it better training? Luck? Experience? The truth was far deeper, a philosophy of warfare honed over generations. The Germans had a term for it: Auftragstaktik, or mission tactics. And once you grasp what that truly meant, the extraordinary effectiveness of the German army suddenly becomes clear. American officers were instructors. They told their soldiers how to fight. German officers were visionaries. They told their soldiers what to accomplish. On paper, the difference seems subtle. On the battlefield, it was everything. But there's a catch. This system only works if your soldiers arrive at the front already seasoned professionals. By 1944, the Germans defending France weren't just trained. They were survivors of the hellish Eastern Front. Think about it. More men died there than in every other theater of World War II combined. Men who had endured Stalingrad, Kharkov, Soviet offensives that struck in relentless waves, overwhelming positions by sheer numbers. Winters so brutal, frostbite killed as many as bullets. Tanks froze solid, rifles jammed with ice. These men didn't just fight. They knew how to survive when everything went catastrophically wrong. Contrast that with the average American soldier landing on Normandy's beaches. Most had never been shot at, never witnessed death firsthand. For them, D-Day was the first true taste of combat. And yet, when intelligence officers pored over battle reports, they found something astonishing. German effectiveness didn't falter as the war turned against them. Surrounded, outnumbered, doomed, they became even more lethal. Two examples illustrate this starkly. April 1945, Berlin. The Red Army encircles the city. 2.5 million men, 6,250 tanks, 41,600 artillery pieces. Inside, perhaps 100,000 German defenders remain mostly elderly men and teenage Hitler youth, with no air support, no hope of reinforcements, no chance of survival. Everyone knew the war was over. Hitler would be dead within weeks. Germany would surrender in days. Yet in 2 weeks of brutal street fighting, these doomed defenders killed 81,116 Soviet soldiers and destroyed 997 tanks. Here lies the paradox of the German army, losing the war, yet winning battles. Now consider Tarnopola, darker tale. March 1944, Ukraine. Hitler declares the town a fortress. 4,600 German soldiers are ordered to hold it at all costs. The first commander arrives, assesses the hopelessness of the situation, and dares to report it. Hitler fires him. The next commander takes over, determined to fight. For an entire month, these 4,600 men resist overwhelming Soviet forces. By the battle's end, 4,545 are dead or wounded. Only 55 escape, a 99% casualty rate. Professional soldiers, annihilated not by enemy skill, but by strategic madness. Yet training and experience explain only half the story. The other half lies in their weapons. And one of the greatest myths about them must be shattered. The MG42, Hitler's buzzsaw. Soldauf, firing 2,200 rounds per minute. Its sound was a continuous, terrifying buzz rather than individual shots. Compare that to the American bar, firing 500 to 600 rounds per minute, twice the rate of fire. But what made the MG42 deadly wasn't just speed, it was doctrine. German squads were built around the machine gun. Riflemen supported it. American squads centered on riflemen. The BR supported them. One German sergeant with an MG42 could unleash more firepower than an entire American rifle squad. This explains how small German units could hold positions against much larger forces. And yet, the MG42 isn't the weapon everyone obsesses over. It's tanks. Particularly the myth that it took 5 Shermans to destroy a single Tiger. That is simply false. The myth stems from Death Traps by Belton Cooper, a book historians consider unreliable. Actual 1946 U.S. Army Data 30 tank-on-tank engagements showed a Sherman to Panther kill ratio of 3.6.1 in favor of the Sherman. British after-action reports also demonstrate that the Allies inflicted more casualties than they suffered. Frontal engagements were risky, yes, but American doctrine emphasized flanking, calling air support, using tank destroyers. Tigers were rare. Most German tanks were Panzerfäuste, which Shermans matched evenly. The Sherman's true advantage lay in reliability and numbers. For every Tiger, America produced 10 Shermans. And yet, despite superior logistics, production, and overwhelming numbers, American soldiers still suffered staggering casualties. Why? American abundance created a hidden vulnerability, a paradox that bewildered even the sharpest minds. On paper, the United States possessed the most formidable logistics system in military history. When American units called for artillery, hundreds of guns thundered into action. Air support arrived in squadrons. Tanks replaced lost ones within days. Germany? They had none of this. Their units were undersupplied, low on fuel, low on ammunition. Yet here lies the twist. American superiority in logistics slowed them down. While German troops moved light and fast, American units waited for supplies, meticulously setting up supply lines and advancing methodically. You could strike them in the morning, and by afternoon, the Germans were upon you again. While Americans consolidated positions and brought up reinforcements, German units slipped away, regrouped, and counterattacked. In the long term, American firepower prevailed. But in individual battles, German speed and initiative exacted a deadly toll. Take the Battle of the Bulge. Germany committed nearly 500,000 men and lost over 100,000 irretrievable numbers. America, replacements were already crossing the Atlantic, ready to fill the gaps. But there was another cost to fighting Germans that no one had anticipated, a psychological burden beyond bullets and bombs. January 1945, the coldest January ever recorded in Western Europe. American soldiers in the Ardennes weren't just fighting Germans. They were fighting an environment designed to kill. Within 2 months, 23,000 troops became casualties of trench foot. Imagine standing in wet socks and boots in freezing temperatures as flesh rots and turns black, as your feet begin dying while you try to fight. The Germans had been hardened by years on the Eastern Front. They knew how to survive. Americans learned at a deadly pace, but the psychological toll ran even deeper. One veteran summed it up. What made it so hard was that the Germans looked like them. Many Americans had German last names, German ancestry. You'd capture a soldier and see a face resembling your uncle or neighbor. Killing became morally complex until December 17, 1944, near Malmedy, Belgium, when any lingering sympathy vanished. SS troops under Joachim Peiper captured 84 American soldiers, lined them up in a field, and executed them with machine guns. This wasn't the Wehrmacht, the professional soldiers who still followed rules of war. This was the SS ideological, ruthless murderers. That distinction mattered deeply to every American who faced them. So if German soldiers were individually more effective, why did they lose? The answer? Strategy, or, rather, Hitler's catastrophic decisions. Tactical brilliance was squandered by strategic insanity. Turnopole, the Ardennes bulge, fortress cities, mismanaged production all wasted potential. America could replace losses, Germany could not. Every German casualty was irreplaceable. Consider production. One Liberty ship launched each day, one bomber every hour from a single factory. Numbers won the war. German soldiers were undermined by their leadership. American soldiers respected them, not as Nazis, but as soldiers. You hadn't really been at war until you'd fought the Germans, many recalled. After the war, U.S. officers meticulously studied German tactics and began incorporating mission-oriented command. Today, the modern American military uses principles borrowed directly from German doctrine: decentralized command, mission-type orders, initiative from NCOs. Germany lost the war, but its influence shaped armies for generations. Here's the truth: German soldiers were more effective because of rigorous training, doctrine, and battlefield experience. America won because of numbers, logistics, and strategic vision. Quality fell to quantity, but that quality was undeniable. American soldiers who faced them never forgot it. Now, a question for you. Knowing the facts, the truth behind the 5 Shermans myth, the real data, do you think German soldiers were genuinely better? Or is history romanticizing the losing side? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to see this debate. And if today's history changed how you see World War II, hit like and subscribe for more myth-busting truths about what really happened.